What's up, everyone? I am your host, Rabina Rastaban, aka the Realist Astrologer, and this is the Mystic Media channel. So, today I'm going to get into the Kanye West situation. He's in the news again. This time he was on Ellen, shooting off at the mouth, making no sense whatsoever, talking about how great he is. Um, and he was just making a fool of himself once again. So, this video is going to be about Kanye West, his natal chart, his numerology, and I'm going to determine whether he is a dark-sided Gemini. So let me just play a little bit of the snippets from this one video from the Ellen show.
Picasso is dead. Steve Jobs is dead. Walt Disney is dead. Name somebody living. I'm with you. Jay is in the building. Throw your money. Hands in the air right now. Put your hands in the air right now. Yeah. I have a condition called synesthesia where I see sounds. I see them. Everything that I sonically make is a painting. I have ideas that can make the human race within our 100 years better. Period. I called the head of Payless. I'm like, I want to work with you. I want to take all this information that I learned from sitting at all these fashion shows and knocking at all these doors and buying all this expensive clothes, and I want to take away bullying, the paparazzi, whatever perception you have of me, starting with the truth, starting with every.
Okay, so you basically get the gist of what he's saying. Just, running his mouth, talking about how great he is, talking about how he has these big ideas. He tried to contact Payless. I'm just like, dude, like, really, you need to have several seats. I mean, he just is so out of control. But that is a dark-sided Gemini trait where, they just shoot off at the mouth. They have no filter. They, a lot of times, they don't make any sense. Now, Kanye West was born on June 8th, 1977. So that makes him a very serious Gemini. It also makes him very business oriented, makes him very ambitious, also very materialistic. So he's really basically trying to live out his potential through these business ventures. But the thing about Gemini is sometimes their plans and ideas aren't well thought out. Sometimes they just fly by the seat of their pants and nobody understands where they're coming from except for them. And that's Kanye West's problem. So a few months ago, I delved into his chart. I even posted a video about it. I only got to part one because I put that to the side. I got Mars and Gemini. I tend to get distracted. But in that video, and also I wrote a blog about it, I just discussed his natal chart and numerology. So I'm just going to touch on a few points from that blog. So basically, I wrote, after reading some of the latest tweets of the one and only Kanye West, aka Yeezy, I was inspired to analyze his natal chart. Firstly, Kanye West's birth date alone provides a gateway into his crazy world. Born when the sun was skipping through Gemini and on the 8th day, Kanye can't help but to speak his frenetic mind in an attempt to further his ambitions. 8 is the number of Saturn according to Chaldean numerology. People born on the 8th are often extremely ambitious, business-oriented, and drawn to high positions in life. With Kanye being a Gemini, the energy of the number 8 is channeled into a variety of pursuits, from music production to fashion design. 8 people have a tremendous ability to attract large sums of money via industry or government. Career is everything to 8 people, and they are willing to work hard to get on top of their field. So Kanye West is it's very important that he remains relevant and that he has something to contribute to the world. So, and also that he gains recognition and respect. All of this is 8, the 8 energy. So that's why he's always in the news. That's why he's always trying to, talk to the big wigs in the industry. He's always trying to, launch some major business venture. But a lot of times, it falls short of expectations, or it's unrealistic because of the energy that he's working with. Now, the number 8 is a very practical and realistic number. However, when combined with Gemini and some other factors that I see in his chart, that like throws a lot of that practicality and realism out of the window. So that's why a lot of his ideas have a hard time getting off the ground, especially with the fashion. So let me just skip down to where I analyze his natal chart. So I say, let's delve into his natal chart. Right away, I noticed that Kanye West has a conjunction. That's when two planets are right by each other, between his Sun and Jupiter. That alone makes him a megalomaniac, makes him extremely egotistical. He feels like, he knows what's best. He feels like he can do no wrong. He basically believes he's a god in the flesh, and he's very braggadocious. So, this is a very interesting aspect given that West uses alias like Jesus, which is a play on the name Jesus, because Jupiter represents religion and also deities or godlike status. So that Sun conjunct Jupiter in his chart explains why, he has that whole godly persona that he tries to give off. Also, he did that song Jesus Walks. And what in that other song, Click, he was like, but I've been praying to God for so long. I guess he looking at my life, I guess he talking back, something like that. So that explains why he's so bent upon spirituality and religion, and he intertwines that into his music. However, it's not like he is worshiping a deity. He believes that he is his own deity, his own God with that aspect. So, like I said before, Jupiter combined with the Sun can make Kanye a megalomaniac since the Sun represents the ego and Jupiter enlarges anything that it touches. So, Jupiter expands things. This aspect alone points to Kanye's God complex. It also brings overconfidence and braggadocious behavior. You heard him in that interview with Ellen. With the Sun and Jupiter being in Gemini, it explains his unfiltered mouthpiece. Kanye basically he couldn't stop talking if he tried. Like this is basically something that is deeply inbred within him, and he basically lacks a filter and he can't control his mouth. Now let's look at Mercury, the planet of the conscious mind and communication. West Mercury is in Taurus, which can be part of his saving grace. Had Mercury been in Gemini along with his Sun and Jupiter in Gemini, there may not be any method to his mercurial madness. So the fact that he has Mercury in Taurus does give him some type of grounding, and it allows him to be somewhat practical. So that explains why he was able to put out that good music in the early part of his career. Taurus deals with music, it deals with artistry, it also deals with practicality. Mercury in Taurus gives him some practicality, stability, and allows him to focus on ideas which can actually manifest into tangible products and services. Mercury in Taurus also explains his avid interest in fashion. The only aspect Mercury forms to other planets is a sesqui square to Pluto. Mercury in challenging aspect to Pluto can produce diarrhea of the mouth, which he has. Mercury can also manifest as obsessive compulsive thoughts and activities. With Mercury and Pluto combined, speech is over the top, intense, and provocative. So he's always trying to be provocative. Think about some of Kanye West's antics over the years, such as his infamous George Bush doesn't care about black people after the whole Hurricane Katrina. Also, how he interrupted Taylor Swift's award speech to undermine her merit in favor of Beyonce. That's some classic Mercury in challenging aspect to Pluto energy. Now, Mercury-Pluto aspects, especially the challenging ones, can result in the natives only recognizing two extremes when it comes to their ideas, decisions, and immediate environment: control or be controlled. So Kanye West has an issue with control. He has an issue with allowing people to basically provide their perspective in terms of his work. He's very closed-minded when it comes to his material. West Moon is in Pisces and it forms a square to Neptune. Now that alone can make somebody, off. It can make somebody a little cuckoo. The Moon and Neptune combined, or the Moon and Neptune, when taken alone, both of them can deal with lunacy, or basically being ruled by your emotions and not having the ability to use logic and rationality at times. So Kanye West has it pretty bad. And this aspect alone, his Moon in Pisces square Neptune, can explain why he just goes off the handle a lot of times and he just doesn't make any sense. Now, this makes Kanye West prone to delusion, and it makes it difficult for him to deal with the reality of situations. He may also be beset with bouts of paranoia. This challenging aspect between Kanye's moon and Neptune also deals with the death of his mother, because the moon in a person's chart deals with the relationship with their mother. His mother, Donda West, she passed away years ago when she died from complications of plastic surgery. And Kanye West has even spoken out about his mother's death, and he even basically said it was his sacrifice for his fame. Neptune can deal with sacrifice. Pisces deals with sacrifice as well. So Moon in Pisces square Neptune, that's the epitome of sacrifice. So when he says that he sacrificed his mother, he actually did, whether he did it consciously or unconsciously. Now, perhaps he feels that his mother was a sacrifice in exchange for being famous. He already mentioned that. Challenging aspects between the moon and Neptune may cause West to become a recluse later in life, especially if he cannot make all of his fantasies come true. So while he's in the public eye right now, and he will continue to be, if he doesn't get that gratification from the public, if he continues to be ridiculed, he could resort to isolating himself and becoming a recluse later on in life, where he becomes like Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes was this real rich guy. He was like very talented. He was in the movie industry, but he was real cuckoo at the same time. And later on in his life, he just built a prison for himself in his home. He hardly ever left his home. So I could see Kanye West kind of turning into a person like that if he's not able to continue to be successful in the industry. So while the moon in Pisces is a testament to his musical talent and artistic abilities, it being in square to Neptune can result in a form of self-imprisonment or containment, where he cannot think outside of his own bejeweled box. He believes he is perfect as is and is hypersensitive to any perceived slight or criticism. As a result, he is at risk for falling behind the times, sinking into his own sea of irrelevance, as old fans flock to that which is more relatable. So he also has some other challenging aspects, which makes me believe that he is a dark-sided Gemini. Also, when you just look at, his character, and when you see him in action, he's very disagreeable. He's always interested in creating conflict or scandal or being provocative. He got with Kim Kardashian to further his career. I really doubt there's any true love there. Basically, he was opportunistic in that respect. And like I said, the number 8 can deal with somebody who's opportunistic, who's very materialistic, and they're only concerned about getting ahead and basically becoming successful on the world stage. So he also has some other aspects that are really interesting. He has his Mars and Venus in Taurus, and they're close together. And while that gives him that motivation to be a fashion designer, it also makes him be very myopic, meaning he cannot see outside of himself. Mars conjunct Venus in particular can produce someone who is not objective. They lack objectivity. They lack the ability to respect people as individuals. So a lot of times they will railroad others. So him getting on stage and interrupting Taylor Swift, that's a perfect example of not only Mercury and Pluto, but also this Mars conjunct Venus. And this Mars conjunct Venus combination is opposing Uranus. So that could be somebody that's very disruptive, very disagreeable, can be tyrannical when it comes to their views and, their perspective and what they want to happen. So basically, to make the long story short, in my opinion, Kanye West is a dark-sided Gemini. He has a lot of the traits. One of the main indicators of a dark-sided person is that they do wrong, they create a lot of conflict and upset. However, they either can't recognize that within themselves, or they refuse to analyze themselves, or they might know that they're disruptive and dark-sided, but they just don't care. Now, in terms of Kanye West, I feel that he doesn't realize that he's dark-sided. A lot of what he does is unconscious. A lot of it is indicative of a personality disorder. So I think a lot of what he does is not on purpose. However, I still believe that he's dark-sided, because I believe that you cannot be conscious of what you're doing, but still be dark sided. So that's basically my take on Kanye West. I'm gonna end this with the remaining of this video where it has the snippets of that Ellen show. Yeah, he just keeps the crazy coming, but he keeps us entertained. So you gotta love him for that. So yeah, stay tuned for my next video. I'm working on the dark sided zodiac series, and of course, my computer wants to act up, so I might not be able to play the remaining part of that interview. But if you want to check it out, that interview, I'll leave the link at the bottom. But peace and blessings. Stay tuned. Please feel free to comment. Please, let me know what you think about Kanye West, whether you think he's dealing with a personality disorder, whether he's dark-sided, or whether he's just very egotistical and he's just basically tooting his own horn. So peace and blessings. I'm out.